what have you figured out that you can control, and what have you let go of control of?
I learned that, yes, I cannot control a situation or the situation, but I can control how I react to it. I can control what happens after the fact for me. So if something doesn't go my way, it's really easy for me to sit there and be like, oh man, I wish this would have happened, or I wish this person did that, or this person is at fault because of this, and blah, blah, blah. None of that pushes you forward.
Life's too short for bad coffee or bad leadership. I'm Lindsay Yellin, executive leadership coach, coffee enthusiast, and former ad VP turned believer in leading from a place of possibility. On Unfiltered Leadership, we skip the buzzwords and dig into the messy, human, and powerful side of leadership with real conversations and practical takeaways. Now grab your mug. Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back. I have a question for you. What if leadership wasn't about having more control, but learning how to let go what was never yours to carry? Today's conversation is so special. Our guest is Kyrus Keenan Westcott, better known as Ky. He's a multi-award-winning content creator, mental health advocate, and the voice behind the podcast, The Vibe with Ky, which I was a guest on in mid-2025. And we vibed. And so I had to have him on Unfiltered Leadership, and our conversation is so great. So Ky has a community of over 2 million people. He uses humor and honest storytelling to normalize conversations around ADHD, anxiety, introversion, and what it really means to be human at work. He also brings that lens into his role. He's a senior digital strategist, which we talk about a lot around his corporate experience in our conversation. And he really helps leaders bridge corporate expectations with empathy and care, which is super aligned with the work that I focus on too. So we have like endless things to talk about. But in our conversation, we unpack control, people pleasing, burnout, how self-compassion can radically change the way you lead yourself and others. It is so rich. He's so full of wisdom and gems. Like, you do not want to miss it. So grab your mug and let's get unfiltered with Ky. Hey, Ky, welcome to Unfiltered Leadership. I'm so honored that you're here today.
I'm so happy to be here. I love when people come on my show and then I get to go on their show and like the roles are reversed. Like I didn't have to prep anything.
Isn't that
I could just
amazing?
show up. I could just show up.
And what's funny is that I was on your show right as I was building and starting. Like mine wasn't even launched yet. But I remember when we were talking, I don't know if you'll remember this, but I remember being like, hey, I'm going to be launching a podcast. Like, would you be open to being a guest? And you're one of the first people that I had done that, like been like, hey, would you come on? And I was
Yeah.
just, I was a little nervous.
Yeah. Oh my God. I had such a blast talking with you. So like, I'm like, of course I would come on your show. Of course.
Well, I'm so honored that you're here. I know have a lot of wisdom and strong leadership insights for us to explore today. And also, I know you are someone who's not afraid to get unfiltered and really
Oh
dig into
yeah.
things.
Oh,
So I
absolutely.
want us to get going. But of
Yeah.
course, in true traditional fashion here on Unfiltered Leadership, what's in your mug today?
So I am heating up some Yogi tea. So Yogi is a fantastic, fantastic brand, and I'm drinking it's called Vanilla Spice Perfect Energy,
Oh,
and it has caffeine in it, and it is so good. Like obviously it gives you the energy, but it also tastes good. And I'm a tea savant,
oh,
and I love a good tea. I love a good tea, and this tea is on point. It's heating up as we speak right now. So if you
I'm
see me randomly get up, it's so I can get my tea.
please do. I am like I've always enjoyed tea, but not a huge tea person because I'm like the coffee
hmm
savant, right?
Yeah.
But in pregnancy, coffee became something that I couldn't really drink, not because of caffeine, but more like with everything I was going through, it just didn't
Yeah.
taste good and the acidity. So I've gotten into much more of a tea place. And today, because we are also recording this later in the day, I'm also doing tea. And I have this weird, it's like
Yes.
raspberry leaf tea, and it's meant to be.
Ooh.
It's through this other nice brand. I don't know, but it's meant to be really good actually in pregnancy. So I don't know. I'm learning all these new things, but I want to
Very nice.
acknowledge the mug I chose today because I chose this because, and for those who aren't watching, it's like a white ceramic mug with like these kind of drippy mixed up colors. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really know how to describe that, but the colors reminded me of you, like blue
Of
and
me?
red. And yeah, like kind of primary colors. Yeah. So I always try to pick a mug that reminds me of the person that I'm going to talk to, like the energy or the look or like the vibe. And this one too, I was
Ah!
like, oh, this feels Ky. So, and this was funny enough. gifted to me by a client whose husband is a
Mhm.
ceramics artist in LA, and she gave to me 2 kinda matching mugs like this, so
I love this. In fact, oh, you're gonna like my mug. I'm gonna go grab my mug, and
go grab it.
I'm gonna pour my tea, and I think you're gonna like it, Lindsay. You're gonna like it because it has one of my favorite sayings on it.
One of your
And
favorite
it's just
sayings, I can't wait, and I wanna hear
yes,
that.
yes, it has one of my favorite sayings on it, and it's a saying that I live and breathe by. That is a part. It's actually really relevant to our conversation today.
Okay, well then,
And
I love the intention behind it.
yes, yes. So, are you a musical person?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, I guess it depends what part of musical
that's fair.
you mean. Yep.
So
Oh,
there's this
yes.
cup says "Wait for it," and it's a lyric or it's a song title from the musical Hamilton, and Aaron Burr sings a line in that song that says, "I am the one thing in life I can control," and I
Ah,
fell in love with that because I went my entire life wanting to control the situation, hoping to control other people, hoping to control things that were out of my control. And when I couldn't control it, I would get down on myself and I would beat myself up and I would just like be like, ah. But then once I started to focus on the things that I can control in life and professionally, like things got so much better. So much better. So now I live and breathe by that phrase because it saved my life for sure.
wow, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's very, very relevant to me, my
Yeah.
experience, and yes, I am that type of musical person. I have seen that you've done theater, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
grew
Yeah.
up doing theater, all musical theater, like, that's a whole other conversation for years and years and years. But around what you can and cannot control, I think that is one of the greatest secrets to life, and it's like, I don't know, there's that one saying, right, of maybe it's around control, but, like, may I have, like, the wisdom to know the difference or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that is what I have been continuing to figure out for myself
Yeah.
is, like, what can I actually control versus the illusion of control for safety or for, like, you know, just as, like, this misbelief that I've convinced myself that, "Oh,
Sure.
I have that illusion that I can control that," but
Right. Right.
actually
Right.
I can't, and how to know the difference. What have you figured out that you can control, and what have you let go of control of?
I learned that yes, I cannot control a situation or the situation, but I can control how I react to it. I can
Um,
control what happens after the fact for me. So if something doesn't go my way, it's really easy for me to sit there and be like, oh man, I wish this would have happened, or I wish this person did that, or this person is at fault because of this, and blah, blah, blah. None of that pushes you forward. None of it. It's okay to reflect. There's nothing wrong with reflecting, but you can't live there.
right,
And so what I've learned is, let's just say something doesn't go my way, or if something does go my way, I am going to learn and go forward. I can control that. I
yeah,
can't control what had happened. I can't control how other people think or behave or act or whatever it may be. I can control my actions after the fact, and I can control how I process those things.
mhm,
And you take that and you learn and you just try to be a better person today than you were the day before. That's all you can do. And so like that's what I've learned to take on, and I've learned to let go of wishing of trying to understand why people do what they do.
yeah,
You
that's very
know?
powerful.
Yeah,
Mhm,
like I don't like because it's so easy to sit there and be like, "Oh, why did this person do this?" And then you spend so much time trying to figure them out, but like figure you out and all that other stuff. You can reflect, but like make sure it's something that helps you grow.
helps you move forward. I think one of the
Yeah,
hardest things for me to let go is trying to control the other people's perception of me,
it's hard. It's hard.
and I don't know about you, but I have a lot of people-pleasing tendencies, and
I am a recovering people pleaser.
amen. I mean, I
Still
am
working
like,
on it.
ooh, this year has been a whole different
Mhm.
level of trying to shed people-pleasing, and I
Does
thought,
pregnancy have anything to do with that? Like,
yes.
yeah?
It does. Like, so I first thought leaving corporate would help with that, getting out of
Yeah.
client services and advertising, which is like such a nurturing place for people pleaser because you get so rewarded for everyone being happy and everything that you do. Then realizing that removing yourself from the environment doesn't remove the behavior and the ingrained like fear around it, which just drives the behavior, right? Because parts of us. And so I've been continuing to work on that, whether in friendships or with clients or in different ways, my business. But this year and with pregnancy, absolutely, because I've had to step out of the roles that I've traditionally played, especially in a family
Oh,
dynamic,
yeah. Sure, sure, sure.
for the sake of my health, for the sake of just things changing. And I have to, it's been very uncomfortable, but I've had to have, conversations where I'm not showing up as the perfect sister or daughter or friend or whatever because
Yes.
I realize that actually it doesn't serve me anymore. It doesn't serve
Right.
my growing family or what our needs are, or I realize I have to respond to other behaviors differently
Mhm.
from other people. And it is such an uncomfortable place to be because when you start to change roles, and you start changing the way you're responding to things, putting yourself first or other priorities first, I've noticed it makes other people very uncomfortable, right? Because
Yes.
how did they
Yes.
they no longer are as safe because the dynamic isn't the
Mhm.
same, and that's on them.
That's
But
on them.
as a
Mhm.
people pleaser who's
I
used
know,
to
I know.
making sure no one thinks anything bad about me, Kai,
I
ever.
know. I get it. Oh, I totally get it. And you wanna know something funny, Lindsay? For about 0.5 seconds just now, I totally forgot that I'm on your show and, and you're not on mine because I record on Riverside too. So like the setup is pretty much the same. And so like I'm like, oh, I have a follow up to that. And I'm like, wait, no, wait, no, this is not your show, Kyrus. This is
You
Lindsay's
can
show.
treat this like
No,
anyone. It can.
no.
I actually love when people pull and ask. Like, this is meant to be an unfiltered conversation, right? But that is. But I'm glad it maybe they feel comfortable enough. They're like, I'm in my own show space.
Yeah,
There's
my
some.
ADHD impulsivity is in full effect, so I will control that.
And as it's something that you can. So I do think that's a really interesting notion around control and like important to bring up because I feel like we have been navigating or watching. I love you're in the corporate space, so
Yeah.
love your perspective. I work with, of course, a lot of folks within the corporate space, but it feels like this year has been, and just in life and all the things, that
Mhm,
there feels like there's so little in our
mhm.
control anymore. Obviously,
Yes.
everything you spoke to, but it feels like there's so uncertainty in places where maybe we felt greater safety or
Uh-huh.
quote unquote control. The rugs were just pulled out from under us. What has
Yes.
been your experience of that this year?
I feel the same way, and I'll tell you what I was talking about with my therapist, and she put this in beautiful perspective for me. Your feelings are valid when you say that it feels like we don't have any control. But one thing that my therapist said to me was, "Well, what were you trying to control in the first place?" Right?
Mm,
And so now when you start answering that question, you start thinking of like the overarching broad stroke things like, oh, I can't control who my mayor is or the president. I can't control gas prices. I can't, all that stuff. Yeah. When you look at it that way, yeah, it seems like you can't control, but you are here, you're present. This is my therapist talking to me. She's like, you are here, you're present. You can control you right now. And that is an endless amount of possibilities. Endless. There's so many things that I could do right now. If I wanted to, I could take a trip to Barcelona, right? Because I can. I have that control. And so when you start to pull it back and you focus on like the immediate things around you and your life, the possibilities are actually endless. And so I've been coming to terms with that because I felt the same way as you, Lindsay. Like I'm like, there's so much going on in the world, and like this sucks, and I don't agree with this, and everybody's yelling at each other, blah blah. Blah. But like I can control, so I can decide not to turn on the TV and see any
mhm.
of this stuff. I can decide to stay off of social media and not see any of this. Nobody's forcing me to do that, you know?
And what I hear and what you're saying and something I think about a lot and talk about a lot, and what I honestly, like, I think is, like, one of the foundation of my coaching practice with leaders is, like, finding your agency again. And in
Mm,
times when you feel like you don't know what direction to take or what you feel so lost,
yeah.
remembering where you do have agency, where you do have control, where you have choice.
Mhm.
And that can be choice in the way you're perceiving things, the way that you're responding, the way you're understanding stuff based on values or your, feelings towards yourself or
Mhm.
how you're showing up to work. But it can, also be in the choice in how you engage,
Yes.
understanding how your habits are driving results that are no longer serving you, right? And like,
Mhm.
I think it's so easy when it feels like so much around us is burning or like
Yes.
feeling very uncontrollable. And then you're at a job that also is feeling so super uncertain
Mhm.
and, all these other things that then get closer and closer to you as a person to freeze and say, I don't have,
Yes.
there's nothing I can do. But
Yes.
you gain your agency, your freedom, your control, your, um, I guess I'll say like your life back by like the
Yes.
small steps of like exercising that agency.
Absolutely, and it's to anybody listening right now that's like, "Oh, yeah, that's easier said than done." You're right.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
absolutely right. It is so hard to get yourself to that point because, like, as you were talking, what I was thinking a lot about, like, for example, in the corporate world, there's a lot of businesses and corporations that are laying off thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and so it's very easy to get frustrated with that, especially if you're somebody that was laid off.
Yeah.
And you can't control that. They made their decision for whatever reason it is, they made their decision. And so it's really easy and understandable that you feel the way that you feel about not having control because you live a life of uncertainty now. Now you don't know how you're going to pay your bills and like all this stuff. So I want to make sure people understand that your feelings are valid. However, kind of like what I was saying before, it's okay to reflect, but now you have to react and you need to process in a healthy way
Yes.
and focus on the things that you can control. You can't control how CEO Joe Schmo wants to run the company because they can decide to do whatever they want, whenever, however they want. Right? They just can. You, however, can do the best that you can with what you got, and that's easier said than done. But like it's so much. It's a lot more power than you realize. You
Mhm.
know, I say that out loud because that's stuff that I say to myself as well. Like I'm not somebody that has it all figured out. Like this is stuff that I say to myself every day.
And it's not oh, you make one decision and everything changes. You have to show up
Mhm.
every day with that
Yes.
perspective of, "Oh, wait, I can put the phone down," or, "Oh, wait, like, I can't control this, but here's where I can have influence." And I think you've continued to say, like, you can reflect on that, but then keep moving forward. I think that's really important because right now, and I mean, myself included, it's just really easy to get stuck in those loops.
Absolutely.
But the kind of mantra or the reminder of reflect and then move on is really powerful. And I think
Mhm.
other thing I wanted just to touch on when thinking about like in the corporate setting, especially like, yeah, you can't control what the CEO is doing. I talk to a lot of people who look at their leaders above them and they're like feeling very frustrated and disappointed and feeling
Yes.
like very cut off. They're like, I'm not getting the
Mhm.
information I need. They're not leading in the way that is in alignment to what our culture and values were. And now I'm stuck and my team's looking to me. And that's a really, really hard place to be. But also, like, it doesn't matter even your level. Like, you can, just by how you walk into a room, how you respond, how you are engaging and connecting with people, you can make a difference every single
Yes.
day on the culture of that team, on how people are feeling, because they're probably feeling the exact same way as you,
Mhm.
but you can drive a positive or fruitful or at least like an impact where they are feeling seen and heard and valued that they don't get from other places. Like, you can drive influence
Absolutely.
in your small little sphere, no matter your role, no matter what team that you're on.
That's a lot more power than people realize that they have. And I
Yeah,
wish some of my colleagues in the corporate world understood that because it's very easy to get hung up on, for example, job titles, right?
totally.
Um, but I view corporate life in two different ways. You have internal validation and external validation. External validation is I want this job title because that reflects who I am. I want to make this amount of money. This is how much I believe I deserve to make. I want to take on this project. That's stuff outside of you. Internal validation is something that you need to work on. And by you, I mean like myself included. Like this is
Oh,
something
yeah.
that we all have to work on.
Yeah.
Where how much energy are you going to spend trying to get external factors to validate how you feel and how you operate? You're never going to be satisfied because let's just say you do get that salary bump. Great, congratulations. You feel validated. You get that dopamine boost for a little bit. You can pay your bills, all that kind of stuff. But you're not going to stop there.
No.
Oh, you make 100K a year. Now I want to make 250. And now you're beating yourself up again because you need
Yeah.
that external validation. No, there's nothing wrong with striving for those things. I think it's important. However, you can't let those factors be something that will validate your worth. You have to know your worth and you have to say, yeah, there's stuff that I can't control, but I know that I'm a really good digital marketing strategist. I
Mhm.
know that I'm a really good secretary. I know that I'm a really good CEO. I like all of these other things. And so I every day work hard to validate my own feelings however I can. And it's hard, but it's so worth it because I'm not depending on things I can't control.
What have you learned gives you internal validation?
There's certain goal. That's a great question. There's certain goals that I set for myself every day, realistic goals, right? And this is the really important part. There's going to be times that I have a to-do list at work that I'm not going to get through that whole to-do list. And when you don't get through that to-do list, it's really easy to be like, ah, I suck, right? But if you shift that focus to, I did the best that I could today, that's self-validation. You don't need to check off every single thing from that checklist. Again, external. You don't have to check off everything from there to be validated. You know that you gave it everything you got and you didn't get through your list. Okay. All right, give yourself some grace. You did the best you could today.
Yeah.
Self-validation.
Hearing that, like, a lot of compassion and acceptance, which
Mhm.
is something that most of us really, really, really struggle with. It's
Myself
way
included.
easier
Yeah.
to be, and I feel like we talked about this actually in our conversation on your
Mhm.
podcast. It's, like, easiest to be your harshest critic. It's way
Mhm.
harder to accept and say, "You did the best you could today with what you had.
Yep.
Great job.
Yep.
That's enough.
Mhm.
That's enough. I am
Mhm.
enough. That's enough," right? Because the
Mhm.
external validation, maybe that's it. The external validation is so on, not enoughness. I need it to prove that it's enough, but it's an endless well. What's enough? It's never,
Mhm.
it's never satisfied.
Right.
But the internal validation is being able to say, that's enough. I'm enough, and being able to believe it.
Right. Right.
Mm.
Yeah, and a perfect example of this. Let's just say we put this episode out, right? And one person listens to it. It's my mom or something. Like just one person listens to it. Nobody else, right? Would you, looking back at this conversation, be like, just I'm not good. I'm not good at my job,
Mm.
or that was a bad conversation. No, we're enjoying the moment. We're enjoying the conversation, and we could both walk out of here later and be like, that was fun. No
Completely.
matter how it turns out, who cares how many people watch it or listen to it? Like it doesn't matter. Like obviously you have numbers that you want to shoot for and that you hope for, but don't let that validate who you are and what you put into making something like this. Because like you, even if that one person gets something out of this conversation, it would
That's
have
enough.
been worth it.
And it's funny because, to be transparent with you, I've been this podcast has been going for 3 months, maybe
Hmm.
3 and a half or so. I have not looked at one stat. I have not
Hmm.
looked at anything intentionally.
Hmm.
Maybe my incredible, support,
Yeah.
Cameron is. I'm not, because it's intentional, because I'm like, I'm just going to create and be present and learn and continue to optimize and find ways and focus on getting great people and conversations and
Mhm.
learning about myself in the process and not focus on any of the external
Absolutely.
validation.
The metrics will always be there. They will always fluctuate. The only way, and I say this as a content creator as well, because like
Yeah,
as a content creator, you're constantly looking at your metrics, like you because that sort of like as a marketer, like a digital marketer, like I look at data every single day, and that
of course.
informs me what I do next, right? But the only way that you can improve those metrics is if it starts in here. And for those listening right now, I'm pointing to myself. It starts right here.
Yeah.
It starts with the drive that I have. It starts with the drive that you have. It starts with the I want to do this, that kind of stuff. That drive and confidence in and of itself is enough. And like the metrics will come. So like I think it's a good thing. I find it quite admirable that you have practiced that restraint.
And you know what? The day will come. I will, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I intend to, but I didn't want that to start to influence my perception of myself or of the
Yeah.
podcast at the start. I wanted just to be fully in it to let it become what it is and then
Mhm.
take all that data to say, okay, now how do I, what can I learn and glean and
Mhm.
change? But, and I think that's been really helpful because even if I'm like, it doesn't matter, or, it's just the start, of course, need time. If I would see some of that stuff, I know that it probably would do something that could get in
Mhm.
the way of me being able to
Sure.
and show up the same way. But
Sure.
um speaking of, like, I'm gonna pivot a little bit, but I think it's
Yeah.
related. So we're recording this at the end of the year. Folks are gonna
Mhm.
be listening to this in the new year. I'm really curious, what are you most proud of yourself as you reflect on the past year? Like
Ooh.
what um what are you celebrating?
It's a really good question because I'll start off by saying that I am very thankful for the life that I have, for the opportunities that I've been given, and I have so much to be thankful for. I think what I'm most proud of, honestly, is the grace that I've given myself.
Tell me more.
Um, I'm very hard on myself as a professional, as a content creator, as a human being, as a friend, all of these things, as a brother, a son. I hold myself to a very high standard. And all of that started back when I was in, elementary school when I played sports, where if I wanted to succeed, I had to be the best. I had to do this
Sure.
and that. And if you weren't giving, you know, a basketball game everything you had, then you're never going to make it. You're not good, you're lazy, all this stuff. So that this got ingrained in my brain that I have to be 150% all the time or I'm just never going to make it. And so whenever I did go through a day where I didn't accomplish everything that I wanted to do, or maybe I did something that didn't turn out the way that I liked, or whatever it may be, I would beat myself up and I wouldn't give myself any grace. Even after my diagnosis, because like at first I wasn't diagnosed with like ADHD and generalized anxiety and depression and all that stuff until I'm 38. I was diagnosed when I was 35. Like this is all
Right.
new to me,
Sure.
and so I didn't know that like that all played a role. So like I would just beat myself up, but even after the diagnosis, I would still beat myself up sometimes. But I've learned this year to give myself grace, to be able at the end of the day, especially at work, to say, I gave it my all. I
Mhm.
gave it my all. Did I finish through all the reports I wanted to do? No. Is that campaign that I'm building running perfectly well? No. But I know when I look back at it that I did my best. And then I'm going to take that information, I'll reflect, I'll take that information and I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I wasn't always like this. I would go to bed angry or I would stay up late wanting to make sure I got everything done, making sure that, this was this way and this was that way. Now I feel so much better both mentally and physically when I stop beating myself up that way.
Mm. Thank you so much for sharing that, and it's, like, crazy to hear you say that because I in my therapy session this week, we were having actually the
Mhm.
same conversation,
Yeah,
and I want to, acknowledge and applaud you for bringing that ambition of being able to be, like, more graceful with yourself and, like, accept what you do as enough into real
yeah,
practice, and, like, I know how hard that is, takes a lot of time, a lot of self-accountability, and sometimes you have to say it
that
until you
word,
believe it,
that
right?
word, that word, self accountability, right?
That's like a total inside job. No one else can do that for you.
Yes, yes.
No one
There's a
can.
reason why the word self is there, you know? And on top of that, the word that stands out to me, Lindsay, is the word failure.
Oh gosh, trigger word for me. Sorry.
Yeah. And it stands out to me because I used to be frightened of that word, and now I embrace it
Mm,
because the things that I fail at, like when you think failure, it has this negative, obviously a negative connotation, like I
right.
failed, I am a failure. But then I started to this past year to switch it up to be like, I failed. Okay, good. What can I take from it?
Yep.
And so like it's like failure has become my biggest learning tool. And like
Right.
it's really cool.
And when you can, like, embrace that, because it feels like we all know that. We all know, we
Yeah.
watch it all the time, right? Like,
Yeah.
we even see, like, the great story arcs and, like, yeah, you gotta fumble, you gotta fall, you gotta hit the rock bottom, you have to in order to be able to rise and to learn, and, like,
Yeah.
we know that, but to actually internalize it, believe us, and give us the permission and the acceptance
Yeah.
to fail is, like, so hard. I went most of my life terrified of failing, and I think that's why I
Yeah.
stayed in my job for as long as I did, which I don't regret by any means, but I was good at it, and I knew and learned quickly with
Yeah.
strategies that are maybe not as productive anymore to, like, make sure I never failed, right? And then if I came close, woo, or if something went wrong, like you
Mhm.
said, so hard on myself, like, but becoming a solopreneur, becoming human, and, like, growing up in that wisdom, that
Mhm.
comes with it is, like, it is a mandatory, like, if you want to, truly, like, uncover yourself, become yourself, accomplish the things that really are, passionate or purpose aligned and, like, your greatest dreams, like, you gotta stumble a lot to be able to make that happen and be okay with it,
Mhm.
and failure is one of the greatest gifts you can get, but it is, like, so painful to
Oh,
even
it
accept,
hurts.
even
It
embrace the
hurts.
possibility of it.
Yes, it hurts. It's supposed to hurt. It's
Yeah.
supposed to hurt, you know? And I actually I had to write down the word failure because I was looking for something to blog about today, and I was, like, racking my
Mm.
brain and, like, now I'm gonna blog about failure because like,
Me
I'm like,
too,
"Oh,
send it to me.
I got it. I my wheels are spinning now." Yeah.
I can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
And I mean, and okay, so I have a question that is
Yeah.
related that's to what you were saying before that I think even connects to this. Like,
Yeah.
you're saying you're so hard on yourself. And this is what I was
Yeah.
reflecting on this week because I'm very similar and very, like, achievement focused and trying to
Yeah.
shift that. But one thing my therapist said was when we are really, really hard on ourselves and achievement focused, it can mean that we have very high standards of
Yes.
others.
Yes.
And I'm curious, what has that like, do you relate to that? Like, your high standards of yourself, how does that translate to your standards to others? And as you've given yourself grace, has that changed your relationship with people, and especially as a leader?
That is one of my favorite questions that I've ever been asked. That's a great question, Lindsay. I love that. It's funny you say that because I think sometimes it does transfer over, and, like, I'll get disappointed when I feel as though other people aren't giving it their all or aren't at the standard that I try to hold myself to.
Sure.
And that's not fair. It's not fair to them. But I do with my team at work, because I lead a team and I'm their manager and they look to me to set the example. And so I do hold them to a high standard, not just for the sake of the client, and the work is done, but for their sake as well.
Sure.
Because I think that we all have the opportunity to learn from the people around us. And I've been doing it for such a long time that I want to be able to help, especially the younger people on my team. I want to help them avoid some of the professional mistakes that I've made in my life. You know, I want to help. I want to teach them things that I didn't learn until much, 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 much later.
Yeah.
And so I do hold them to a high standard. But with that said, when they don't meet that standard, one of the things that I've been trying to do is instead of getting upset with them, I say work with them and I say, okay, this is what I was expecting. This is where we are. What can I do to get you from here to here? What can I do as your leader? That's my responsibility to give you the tools that you need.
Yeah.
Because if you don't reach that, to me, I did not set you up for success. And that's on me as a leader to set my team up for success. And so that's the way that I've been like framing it in my life for sure.
What I love about that is, first off, you were first saying, "Where am I accountable to this?" versus
Hmm.
just that it's all in the other person.
Hmm.
Because, of course, as a leader, you do have accountability, and it could just, it could be a lot of things, but and the accountability could be like just to find out, to sit and listen to their experience in this and
Hmm.
figure out how I can support them, and also, am I equipping them with the right tools, like you said, all of that.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's really powerful, but then you're also taking a coach's approach, which is something I teach about a lot, is how to coach
Hmm.
it in as a leader, and that's very much what
Hmm.
you're doing. You're saying, "I'm here to work with you and empower you, not to blame, not to shame, not to solve for you, but to be with you in this."
Blaming is
And
easy. Blaming is easy.
so easy.
It's so easy.
We
So easy.
see weak leaders do that all the time.
All the time. Every day.
Um, and that's like, I think one of the greatest things you can do as a leader, that's a really hard thing, is to take accountability,
Hmm.
to apologize, and to repair. Repairing is a hard thing to do in any relationship. I think it's
Sure.
a very hard thing to do in leadership, or it's not modeled a lot. And
Yeah.
all of that requires a lot of vulnerability and self-accountability, as we talked about,
Hmm.
and a lot of courage. I mean, vulnerability takes courage, and vulnerability are
It all
Mhm.
goes hand in hand. Absolutely.
Eh,
Yes.
um, but how has your journey of, like, I'm gonna label it self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-accountability, okay? How has that changed the way that you feel like you lead now? And, like, what is, like, your aspiration and how you're leading into the new year?
I am constantly wanting to be a better leader because I didn't have that growing up. Like I had my basketball coaches and my football coaches and my baseball coaches, and like they do a good job at like motivating you, right?
Sure.
Um, but I can't think of too many times where I saw growth from the coach's standpoint. They were always the same person.
Mhm.
Um, and I always found
Mhm.
that weird
Yeah, it's
because
interesting.
like as the students, as the players, like we grow. But like I'd be a fool if I were to walk into any room and think that I'm the smartest, most talented person there. Like you can learn something from everybody, whether they are above you, whether you lead them, whether you're partners, whatever it may be, you can learn from them. And when you learn, you grow. And so I want to make it more of a point to learn from the people that I lead. They have some knowledge that I know I could use. And it would be really cool if like by the time that we're having this conversation heading into 2027, we can look back and my team can say, remember when Kyrus was here and now he's here. Like they can
Mhm.
see it. They can see that growth and they had a role in that. And I think that when your team can see that they had a role in not just making the team better and the company better, but a role in making you better, they're gonna be more likely to stay. They're gonna the culture is gonna be better, the work's gonna be better, so on and so forth. They're gonna be more committed. So I'm making it a point to just learn as much as I can from the people that I lead in 2026.
And how do you I think that is such an admirable mission, and, like, it is necessary, and because if you do have that kind of growth mindset and you are someone who is recognizes that you have things to learn and grow, which all of us do, um, being able to allow people to be on that journey with you
Yes.
is huge. So, there's, like, one way of, like, hopefully they see it. There's another way to bring them along on it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, how do you intend to, I guess, bring your team along or allow them to realize that this is, an aspiration for you and their
I
goal?
knew where you were headed with this, and it's a brilliant follow-up because the answer is you open yourself up to them, and I don't not necessarily mean, like, emotionally. I mean,
Mhm.
like, let them see you fail and see how you handled that, and then see how you learn from it. Ask them, "Hey, what do you think that I could have done different?" Like that kind of stuff. When you open yourself up to having a conversation and letting them see that you are a human being. You don't have to be. I interviewed my friend, and she talked all about like the corporate world and how there's been a rise of fear-based leaders, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
It's
Mhm.
and it's insane. And I'm just not like that. And so sometimes people will think, well, if you don't lead with fear, then you're not going to get stuff out of your team. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Actually, nope.
I don't know about that. Because like you might get short term, you might get
Yes,
something.
short-term
But
gain, but
yes, but, like, long term, you're risking burnout, you're risking people leaving, you're risking 'cause, like, people are more likely to stay at a place that underpays them if the culture and their leadership is good, than at a place that pays well, but the leader sucks,
totally. Completely.
you know? So I want them to see my mistakes. I made a mistake the other day at work, and I didn't shy away from it. And I told my team, "This is what happened, and this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm gonna do to prevent it. Has this ever happened to you? How did you handle it?"
Mm,
And just had a conversation with them.
yep. The accountability, the vulnerability, and then the
Mhm.
curiosity. All
Yes,
t like,
100%.
it makes me think, so I think a lot. I don't know if you are you a fan of Ted Lasso?
I've never seen it, and I'm one of the only people.
Oh my god! Okay,
I
homework,
know.
because
I'm so
everything, I mean,
behind.
we are so aligned in our leadership values and perspective and all of
Yes,
this
yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
I get so much inspiration. It's, like, so much validation, inspiration from that show, and I bring it
Yeah.
into my workshops, I bring it to my different things to my clients because it's just great example setting, and there is one episode where there's something that is revealed about him around mental health that comes out in the papers, and it's in England, so they don't have a lot of they're talking it's very taboo there. It's obviously gotten much
Uh-huh.
better, but anyways, so the team all finds out about this about him, and he's standing in front of them because he's a football, soccer coach or whatever, and he's like, "I want to address what was out in the papers." And not only just to, like, "This is happening, name the thing," but then he was like, "I'm really sorry you had to find out that way, and I" they're like, "You didn't have to tell it." "No, no problem, coach. You didn't have to tell us, like, whatever." He's like, "No." He's like, "I had a chance to build more trust with you and to be
Mhm.
open, and I didn't do that. I didn't make that decision to do that. But now I've learned, for myself." And he just talks and turns it into this lesson of,
Yeah.
here's what I've learned about it.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though he's going through this really difficult thing that's like all out in the open, and it's like a very hard time. And then it's just like demonstrating that vulnerability, that growth, and then, of course, as you brought up, like the curiosity of to really bring the connection to the other person about it. And it's just a
Absolutely.
really, really strong
Just
leadership
talk to
moment.
them as human beings. As
Yeah.
human beings. I don't view I always say I say this to my team, I don't view myself as above you. I think that we're on the same level, we just have different responsibilities. That's it.
Uh,
That's
man,
it.
quote that. Like, put that somewhere. Give it in every
Put it on a
hand book.
t-shirt.
I mean, I think all the time, like, everyone's a leader, and it's like
Yeah.
kind of makes me think about that idea of um from Ratatouille, like everybody can cook, right? And it's not the idea
Yes.
that like
Yeah.
everybody is meant to cook or is a great cook. Like not everybody is a great leader, but everyone can be
Mhm.
a leader. And so it doesn't matter your role, your rank, your title, your salary. we talked about this before, like,
Mhm.
anyone can have the impact that you do.
Anybody. Anybody. It's not a matter of salary, it's not a matter of job title.
Mhm.
You can have a major impact if you allow yourself to do it.
Yeah.
You gotta allow
Yeah.
yourself.
And so we have here we are at the end of the year, right? And you've mentioned this already a couple times around burnout.
Yeah.
That's like a very real, especially under fear-based leaders that are on the rise, like your friend talked about.
Mhm.
So what are your words of wisdom or experience, or like what would you tell your team that is like going towards the end of the year, grappling with burnout, but like I said this to you earlier, like we're going into the new year. Burnout doesn't disappear with the new
It
year.
does
It
not.
doesn't go away. There's no magic wand. So what is your perspective on how people can work through that and as they start the new year?
One of my least favorite sayings in life is I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Um,
Yeah.
Rest shouldn't be viewed as a reward. Rest is a necessity. You need to rest. When you rest, you perform better. You have a clearer head and things will get better both for you and your team and the work that you're doing. Please, please, please allow yourself to rest. Again, rest is not a reward. Rest is a necessity of life, and you have to do it if you want to have a clear head. I understand hustle culture. I'm a hustler. I get it. The pressure's always on. I get it. But like you need the fuel to work, and you can't pour from an empty glass. If you try to pour from an empty glass, nothing comes out.
What does rest look like for you?
Cuddling with my boys who are hanging always
You're
tossing around.
looking
I know. I love to hang out with them. I love to go to theme parks. That's the thing. Rest doesn't necessarily mean sleep. Rest can be doing something that you enjoy. Like I love going to theme parks and riding roller coasters. That's restful to me. I love to write. Like these are actions that I'm doing, but they fill my cup. They
restorative.
replenish my energy, and
Yes.
that is what rest is. Obviously, you need to sleep, but like allow yourself to do things that you enjoy. Allow yourself to do that. You don't have to wait and for the right moment. There is never going to be a right one, well, a right moment. Do it, and you'll feel better in the long run. I
Mhm.
promise you.
Doing things for you. That
Yes.
is like rest doesn't have to be doing nothing, but doing something where you put the
Yes.
rest of it down and choosing
Yep.
yourself.
125%.
Wow. Thank you guys so much for those kind of parting wise words on what to consider going into the new year to actually truly restore ourselves to continue because so many things are not going to be changing. A lot of things that we can't control, right?
Yeah.
Um, but man, we explored a lot of things today. I could talk to you for another hour, I think.
I
And I
have to have
really
you back on my
I was
podcast.
thinking the same thing. I'm like, we gotta have
Yeah,
a part two, so
I
we'll start
know,
strategizing that.
I
But
know, and you'll have a baby by that point.
I know I'll have a lot of new
Yeah.
things to talk about. But I want to thank you so much for your
Yeah.
openness, your vulnerability, your generosity of everything that you have to share. And we have so much more to explore that we will do next
Amen.
time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Stay unfiltered.